Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 Volkswagen Golf R. Now this is part of the 7th generation that in Europe at least was built between 2012 and 2020, though in Mexico, where this game is set, it was produced from 2014 to 2021. So yeah, it is a 2021 model, and yeah, it's the top of the line version of the Golf, a step above the likes of the GTI. With its all-wheel drive system, which is really rather quite clever, and it's more power in terms of horsepower and torque from the same sized engine. So yeah, the all-wheel drive system itself is able to decouple the rear axle automatically under low loads or coasting situations. It's also able to put 50% of the power to the rear, so yeah, you can get a hell of a lot of grip out of this car when you were fully going at it. And yeah, overall it's a very competent car. Volkswagen have been doing this forever now, so it's no surprise that they've been able to make a highly competent hatchback that has a lot of performance going for it. So yeah, interior is pretty decent. It's not amazing in any real regard. It's all there that you would expect from a modern car. Manual gearbox, which is the biggest surprise because I didn't think they would do them anymore on these cars, given how manuals are being very readily eradicated from the car market. But yeah, still all very nice interior, all there that you'd expect, but a little bit on the bland side. But you've still also got plenty of room in the rear, as you can see, and as per usual with hot hatchbacks, a massive boot to go alongside with it as well. But yeah, where this car really excels is in terms of the power plant. It's got 71 horsepower more than the Golf GTI at 288 horsepower and 280 pounds-feet of torque from its 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, which is, yeah, quite a large amount. Obviously, we've seen more power from the likes of the Honda Civic Type R, or the Ford Focus RS, or the Mercedes-Benz A45 AMG, but this is not quite as heavy as those, at least the Mercedes in terms of outright weight, because it weighs 3,300 pounds. So even though yeah it's way down on power, this is not anywhere near as expensive as the Mercedes, or neither is it anywhere near as heavy. Its ride height is also 20mm lower than the standard Golf, and yeah, it's overall a solid vehicle. Not something that I'd regard as a great hot hatchback, because personally I would prefer a GTI. We've not had a GTI and a Forza game for a very long time, so I would have preferred that version, as that is more comfortable in its hot hatchback kind of ways, because it's front wheel drive, but it's very sporty. It's more of a everyday kind of sports car, whereas this feels a lot more like a Grand Tourer. It's able to eat up the miles. It's going to deal with any weather conditions you throw at it. It's got plenty of power and torque. It's very refined, but yeah, it feels less like a hot hatchback. It feels a lot more grown up than that. But still, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So even though this R version feels a lot more grown up than a GTI, it's still got silly amounts of acceleration and speed. Thank you for that, Ferrari. So yeah, let's see what it can do on this drag strip first, and then we'll hoon it around the track. But yeah, like I said, even though it is more grown up, it's still plenty quick in terms of acceleration, and it's got silly amounts of speed on the go. But yeah, the GTI, from past GTIs at least, have always felt a bit more fun, a little bit more playful than the more powerful R versions. We've had R powerful versions of the Golf ever since the R32 back in the early 2000s, and yeah, even though they've always had a great deal of power, acceleration and speed, they've never felt quite as fun or as playful as the GTI, just because their all-wheel drive system really does keep it really planted, and yeah, just doesn't feel as fun or as playful or as light as well, because obviously the all-wheel drive system adds on some weight. Granted, it's got a hell of a lot more power than the GTI. Like I said, it's got 71 extra horsepower, but I'd rather have the playful nature of the GTI with its clever front-wheel drive system than I would this, quite frankly. But yeah, let's see what it can do around the track. Rivals, and yeah, so we're in top mid B class. And yeah, speed, acceleration, handling, launch are all fairly good. Braking is a little bit on the downside, surprisingly, but I guess because it weighs quite a fair bit for a hot hatchback, it's bound to be a little bit worse on the braking side. But like I said, it weighs a lot less than some hot hatchbacks that we've seen. And even though obviously it's heavier than the previous generation, it's also, like I said, got more power, so should hopefully make up for that in that regards. But yeah, I really do wish we had a GTI. It's been a very long time, like I said, since we've had one. I think Forza, what's it, 4 days, maybe a little bit newer than that, but regardless, it does feel like a long time since we've had a GTI, a modern GTI. Granted, I did like the fact that in the previous game we got the original GTI rather than the Rabbit version that we've always had to be lumbered with, but yeah, really would like a modern GTI to go along with the other kind of hot hatchbacks that we have on this game, on other Forza games. But yeah, no doubt that this is a quick car, it's a good handling car, it uses its all-wheel drive system in a clever way. I'll let you listen to the engine for a little bit first though, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, it's not the most exciting sounding engine ever out of a hot hatchback, but it sounds a lot better than I was expecting it to, given the amount of power it's got. I was fearing that the turbocharger would overwhelm it. Thankfully that is not the case, and acceleration is pretty good as well. 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds, 0 to 112.8 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 161 miles an hour, making this pretty sure the fastest Golf ever. So yeah, no doubt that in terms of outright speed and acceleration, it is really rather good. And even though it does have the all-wheel drive system, it doesn't have quite as much understeer as you would expect. It does help that it can shift half the power to the rear, but yeah, I just feel like it would be a lot more playful without the all-wheel drive system, with that clever front diff and the fact that it's not got the extra weight from the all-wheel drive system. I think would make this a lot more fun, even with the lack of power. But then it might be a bit more responsive in terms of its engine as well, because the turbocharger might well not be as necessary to keep the power high. 71 horsepower down would yeah, undoubtedly make the turbocharger less of a necessity over the engine itself. But yeah, still, it's a good hot hatchback. It's the newest Volkswagen we've had for a while, I think, and yeah, it's nice to have a new hot hatchback regardless of whether or not I feel like it's the best version to have on the game. And yeah, at the end of the day, you can still have a little bit of fun with it, sliding it around, but you'll be well and truly confident that it'll be able to come back with that all-wheel drive system. And yeah, it's all over competent. It's just, at the end of the day, not particularly exciting or that original in terms of its execution. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, quite frankly. Or if it ain't, or whatever the saying is. But yeah, still, regardless, this is part of the car pass, and yeah, really do. It's not my favourite car in the car pass by any means. I would have preferred a Volkswagen we never had before, rather than another version of the Golf. But still, it's a really good car, and yeah, I highly recommend trying it out if you've got the car pass. I don't know why you wouldn't if you have, but if you still haven't got the car pass, then yeah, it is highly recommended that you get it, because we've still got a lot more cars to come. We've got the MG SV Power to come next week, and I am really looking forward to. But still, this is a good car, just not a particularly exciting one, like I said. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.